Ad asyate dhvasayanto vritherate krishnamabhvam mahivarpah karikratah yatsim mahim avanim prabhimam rishat abhishvasan stanayan eti nanadat. They, for him, destroy and speed lightly on, creating his dark being of thickness and his mighty form of light. When reaching forward, he touches the vast of being. He pants towards it and, thundering, cries aloud. Such details of crying, hissing, breathing, it makes it very alive, very tangible presence. My interpretation at the same time, then your all-destroying and sparkling flames move easily at will, creating again and again the great shining form Mahivarpach and the dark abyss Krishnama Bhavam. When moving forward, he touches the great earth, breathing heavily, thundering, roaring. I'm trying to be totally literal with words. So then, ad, it's a Vedic word, ad. You find this form in the ablative sense, like narat and so on. Tasmat, ad, it is that form from that, or then, after that. Yes, it's the same idea. From that, his asya, te, for him, ablative, Dvasayantah vritherate. They dvasayantah, destroying vritha irate, vritha in vain or lightly, lightly irate, move. They move lightly and destroying for him then. Krishnam abhavam, the dark abyss, Mahivarpach, and the great form of light, Shebin translates, Karikratach, they create again and again. So it's interesting that again and again they create the form of light in the dark abyss. Shubindra says, creating his dark being of thickness and his mighty form of light. Mahim Avanim, he is the footnote also, literally great earth, yeah? Might mean the vast earth. Avani usually used as Prithivi, and are not used in the Veda invariably. The former, not usually to mean earth, but stray or return to their original sense, Sapta Avanayah. Avani in classical Sanskrit is used as earth, mainly. I think I should have taken it. Yeah.
Excuse me, Vladimir.
Yes.
I really didn't understand this verse. I'm sorry, because the literal translation, of each word kind of takes away from the overall general meaning of the verse. What exactly is he trying to say in this verse? I couldn't get it. Please, could you repeat?
Right,
What is the
definitely.
general
That's what.
idea?
Yeah.
What is the
We try to dive into this. Yes, it's this statement is very paradoxical, and we will look into it now. Yes, definitely. We're kind of on the way, not yet clear. So they for him destroy and speed lightly on, literally. Yes. Then ad asyaf te, his for him, Dhavasayantach, destroy Vritha Irate, and move lightly. Moving lightly, or let us say, destructive, they move lightly for him. Who are they? We do not know. We think this as his flames. Now let me see the previous one. Impulsions. Juvach, those speeding up impulsions, yes, which come from the previous. They are Ashavach, those, swift steeds. This, the powers of Agni, which are identified with steeds or swiftnesses of force, they are working for him. They are destroying everything which they pervade, and they move lightly, very fast. Vritha in classical Sanskrit will have a meaning of in vain, but in the Vedic it is lightly, kind of softly, quickly, even swiftly move. They move swiftly, destroying all or pervading all for him, for Agni, his forces, and creating karikratach, creating again and again the Krishnam Abhavam, the dark abyss, Mahim Varpach, Mahi Varpach, and the great luminous might or form. Luminous great form and dark abyss they create again and again. We will come to it in a minute. And then when reaching forward, he touches the vast being, Yatsim Mahim Avanim Prabhimam Rashat. And when he moves forward, eti, literally, yeah, moving, pra, forward, abhi. Pra abhi, abhi most probably with mam rashat, but pra eti moves, when he moves forward, mahim avanim, the great being or the great earth, mam rashat, marm rashat, he touches again and again. Abhishwasan, breathing literally. Stanayan, bringing the lightning, or what do you call it? Creating the thundering, that's the thing. Nanadat, and crying again and again. These are the intensives, so they are frequentatives, repeating action. So we have Nanadat, repeating action, Marmarishad, repeating action, Karikratach, repeating action. Again and again they create, again and again he touches, and again he is roaring. So what is happening here? Let us look into it closer. So these forces of Agni moving swiftly forward, destroying all, pervading all, penetrating all, yes, modifying all the forms, creating constantly for him the dark abyss, thickness of dark being, and the luminosity of mighty body of light. So what do you think it is now, after explaining all the words?
I didn't understand why they are creating a dark abyss when they are the
Right.
flames.
But intuitively, not with mind. Mind is always black and white, yes or no. Let us think.
Always dualities in the divine. There are always dualities. There's light and darkness.
Yeah, if
And
you
so
say
he's
you're
trying
right.
to transform.
And some other ideas, yes, mind is, mind is mental, yeah. But why they create for him thickness, dark being of thickness, these movements, swift movements of Agni pervading all?
Because even in the darkness, there is the divine.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, because it is, but more salts. Yeah.
Thickness could be for protection, and because I think this alternating form of dark and light, day and night, keeps on repeating this theme. It's a kind of weaving of a different being, perhaps.
Right. Very good. Close, yes. So darkness is needed for the light to weave the thread and to create what the darkness is being created by the very forces of Agni, the swiftnesses of his force, which are pervading all and moving swiftly forward. So what it means that each moment, Mother describes this from the supramental point of view, each moment, everything is being created and destroyed. It's a constant alternation of the being. It needs both. For the being to be manifested in the form, the shadow of the light is needed. It holds it in the active and alive movement of time and space. Without it, this manifestation in time and space would not be possible at all. So in the hymn, the last hymn of the Rig Veda, not the last, but the previous to the last, in 190, it is described that that the year was created, Samvatsara, the Lord of all that moves or that winks. Yeah? It's interesting. That means he is the Lord of light and darkness. Light and darkness. It's a constant alternation, constant vibration. What is vibration? Yeah? What is living vibration if not the peak on the top and the peak below? And these two movements in time generate constantly the dark abyss and the light form of mighty form of light for Agni. Because Agni is moving in manifestation, constantly transforming all the forms. So, in a way, the dark abyss is absolutely needed. The absolute inconscient is needed for the absolute consciousness, it seems. Yeah, I add it seems, because otherwise it would not come into existence. There is a divine economy. Everything what is here makes sense and has to be here. So, but we didn't know that it is the very movement of the Agni himself generates the dark abyss and the mighty form of light. We didn't see that. It is only from the supramental height one can see that the world is being created and destroyed at the same time, all the time, moment by moment. And all those moments come together as uninterrupted movement in time, and time is kind of making it smooth to move. And we have an impression that we endure in time, though we don't see that we are recreated all the time. But without that vibration or recreation in the supermind, this world would not come into existence.
If we are recreated all the time, why is there death?
Because the recreation cannot be totally freshened. So there is always a kind of delay in the refreshment of the. So because some element of memory is stuck, yeah? Something which is transported, or let us say in other words, turn it upside down and say in this way, that our recreated form in time. What is time? Everything moves, everything reconnects in new constellation. Yes? So in that, there is some kind of, what do you call it? Mismatch. Not total match of the light to the power. So that mismatch between light and power is actually time and space. You know? And because of that mismatch, the creation of power, the object of sense, is not fully expressing the consciousness. So the object of sense is not fully expressing the sense. Sense is taking it as if by delay, as if in you. And because of that delay, that mismatch, that recreated form endures a particular time. It can endure longer time, but not totally immortal, infinite or eternal time. So to endure the eternal time, it has to be a full match. And that full match exists only on the level of the supermind. That's why Mother and Sri Aurobindo spoke about the supramental manifestation as the cause for immortality. Because on that level, there will be no mismatch, no delay. Yeah? Time will be immediate, with no delay. If you look at ourselves, let us say, we are digging deep now. We are going into the deeper rabbit hole. If you look at how we perceive the reality, you will see that we perceive the image of reality, not the reality. We are constantly dealing with something which we know as image, which we built in ourselves, and we deal with that image as reality. So there is, as Nietzsche would say, there are two metaphors which are recreated from the reality. First, there is the reality. Then there is first metaphor which we receive from perception of it by our consciousness. We see the object. That sight, that form which is created in our imprint in the mind or in the brain, let us say, is first metaphor. And the second metaphor is how we deal with it by the word. We comprehend it. First we apprehend and then we comprehend. So we start talking about this. So when we speak about this, that's what we understand as a reality. But it is a second level of metaphor. So we are never dealing with reality. We are veiled twice from reality, as it were, according to Nietzsche. But it is a very good example which gives us a sense. We can really perceive it. We can see that we are not dealing with reality. We are constantly late with reality. And we are dealing with image. I look at the screen and then I have to comprehend that this is the screen. So I deal with that comprehension. I'm not dealing with the screen at all. I never touch screen, actually. I touch the image and comprehension of the touch of the image. So in a way, this delay generates this kind of dichotomy of darkness and light, of consciousness and power, which are mismatched in the manifestation. And this mismatch generates the possibility of everything come to be spelled out, all infinite qualities and properties of the infinite being to be spelled out in time. So we can deal with them separately, not as a one being. I can deal with the screen as a screen, not as a divine. So it allows us to see this marvelous creation of the infinite being. Everything has its place. It's such a beautiful creation. You can think yourself. I'm just thinking now. But you think yourself how you perceive the reality. From Buddhistic point of view also is very, very close to it, actually, what I said about Nietzsche.
So the delay keeps us in the state of darkness and ignorance.
It requires darkness, yes.
It requires that so that we can understand our universe.
Yes,
So
in
we
time
can-
and space, the
Time and
details of
space.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it is necessary.
yeah,
So it is
yeah, go
needed.
ahead. Sorry, listening.
So therefore, it is necessary because we are creatures of time and space. So we need that delay in order to make sense of the universe around us.
Well, we need or not, I'm not sure about the need. Maybe one can say like this. I think it is given, by the very overmental creation. When overmind came into being, it delayed the manifestation of the object of sense from the sense. And that delay and coming back to the sense as if in you was done within the overmental creation. Overmental is the next to the supermind. I'm saying this for Jane, because she may ask what is overmental in this case. It is that Svar world, the world of the ray of the sun. Not of the sun. Sun is the body, this is supramental. And the ray of the sun is when the sun body penetrates the darkness. Yeah? So it generates those rays. Rays are the sun being spelled out in terms of each ray. So the body is not one anymore. It is pervaded by the darkness. So the rays of the sun, the body of the sun, one, becomes many rays when the darkness enters. And that is the time and space. Yeah. The time and space is generated on this, on penetration of the light and darkness. We speak about this as if time and space is the cause of manifestation. Yeah? But truly speaking, time and space is the result, as it were, of something what happened, what we call time and space, but it is something else happened. Yeah? The darkness pervaded the light. And this pervasion of the light is already on the level of the supermind, on the lowest level of the supermind of the individual Surya creation. So supermind has 3 levels, yes, also, which is Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. So if Daksha is oneness of all, yeah, then Amsha is the many in one and one in many. They are totally connected within. Yeah? There are already, how to say, borders of the many within the one, and one is still holding the many. And the Surya is already the level where each individual formation is holding the one and still already has its own identity, but not yet darkness. Yeah? But it's already there. The darkness is wanted. The darkness is wanted because the individual formation is already in place. So the ray is ready to go out of the sun, if you will. It's amazingly interesting if you see how the sun itself exists. Yes, I saw the whole program on the sun, our sun, in our solar system. It is very similar to what we describe in the supramental creation. So there is the core, which generates gamma radiation, which is very harmful, can destroy the whole world. But then there's this gamma radiation, when it moves through away from the center, but the gravitational pull is so huge that it does not allow it to to leave so fast. So it is stuck in the huge of place of what we call magma, not magma, but I forgot, plasma. So that plasmic world is all those gamma radiations which went out from the core but could not reach the surface because of gravitational pull. So they generate huge, the biggest part of the sun is this plasma. So the plasma is being heated up there. They're trying to get out, but they can't. So because of that, they're traveling within that plasma region for million years. When the gamma radiation is released, for million years, it is stuck within the body of the sun. Can you imagine? So until it loses its energy, and when it loses its energy, it comes to the surface, it becomes less harmful, and then it is ready to go into the space. But even then, there is a pull, and sometimes there is a release and then pulling back. We see these crowns from the sun. Yeah, it pulls back its own light, gravitational pull. But until the gamma radiation is totally lightened up, becomes totally harmless for the Earth, it is not released, and then it is released. And it can travel, it can go out after million years being within the sun, framed. So if you think of it, it's an amazing example of what is really happening, because the physical world is nothing but the replica of what is happening in the spiritual world. So most probably everything is framed within the supermind. I'm using this metaphor of the sun. Everything is framed within the supermind, being shaped, being fashioned, until it is ready to manifest in time and space, in the darkness. So then it is ready to jump into the darkness, away from the body of the sun. And this is when darkness pervades the body of the sun, the overmental creation is being manifested, and the light is being spelled out in terms of individual creation. It's too much, or it's okay?
I hope you're recording this video, and I would like to have it. I'd like to save this video for later.
Sure.
This has been a great session, absolutely. Thank you, Vladimir.
Right, yeah. For you, knowing physics, yes, it is, must be like thinking.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll chime in too. I don't know physics and I loved it. So thank you.
Right. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, so it's a quite a vivid picture, and Sri Aurobindo calls that overmental realm as the realm of the ray of the sun. It's amazing. Not the sun itself, but the realm of the ray of the sun. So this is Svar world, yeah, in the Rig Veda. For a long time, Sri Aurobindo called that Svar world. He thought it was a supermind. He thought that overmental creation was supramental. And in the Veda, there is not much distinction between the two. In certain hymns, we find. Why? Because when you come to the ray of the sun, to the overmental, you are dealing with that quality of the light, which is not yet involved totally into the material manifestation. So it is still in its own kind of domain. It is still a virgin light. So because of that light, it is supramental light, but only, how to say, individualized. And so the most individualized level of this overmental light is intuitive consciousness. Intuition is that lightning of Indra. Indra is bringing the Vajra, yeah, the lightning, and that lightning piercing our darkness. Our illumined mind is the top of our darkness, our lower hemisphere. It pierces it and brings the intuition of supramental intuition into action in time and space. this our aha moment. We get, I know that lightning, yeah, striking you is Indra. That is intuition. But it is all coming through the ray of the sun. It is the ray of the sun. By the way, interestingly, the Vajra of Indra in the Veda is described as made of the light of the sun. So the very Vajra by which he strikes, it is made of the light of the sun.
Vladimir, I have a small question. Just before you started on this, you mentioned that life is about getting back memories or conveying memories, something like that you mentioned. So this conveying is the job of Vayu. How should I understand it? I mean, Vayu does this conveying from life to life of the memories.
Regarding memory, this is a big topic. I would love to kind of discuss it maybe with more people, because we want to make the whole session on memory. What is memory? To bring Sri Aurobindo's views also. And why Gita says when man loses memory, he loses himself. Yeah. So can you imagine you forget who you are in the morning? You're no more Kinchuk, I'm no more Vladimir. So some creature, yeah. Nothing from the past, no parents, no upbringing, no language. It's all connected with memory. Memory is a very interesting capacity of consciousness, I think, which holds in the matter, in the material form, imprint, which allows us to recover some of our activities of consciousness. Some, not all. If we would have full memory capacity, we would remember all. But that would be a curse, rather, to remember all.
No, but that would also be an exact match. What you are saying of the mismatch that would disappear if we had recovered all the memory. So it will be immortality in a sense.
In a way, yes. If we would be fully aware that memory would not be needed anymore as memory as we know it today, yes? But it will be full match, then memory is not needed. You don't need to remember something and to forget something. You don't need because you are what you are. Yeah? You are a fully manifested being. So everything is within you. So why do you have to remember? You don't need to remember. You don't need to reconnect with something, you know, with some imprint, because you don't have imprint anymore. You are yourself. So the mother says very interesting thing to increase the strength of memory, to make it more powerful. She recommends a very interesting exercise to widen the scope, the mental scope of consciousness. Widening consciousness actually increases memory. Don't think about it. It looks like opposite. When you widen, you don't remember things particular, yeah? But it's not so. The moment you widen the scope, things, particular things, come to you automatically. You don't need to truly remember them. I was always wondering about this. Always. I was wondering how some people think that, for example, I don't know, Shraddha or Alok, or myself, when I speak about that, that how do you remember all that? I don't remember, actually. I don't remember. I don't reconnect. Yeah? It comes when it has to come, if you are wide enough. If you are narrow, then it doesn't come. You will have to apply certain force to remember, to reconnect. You know it. Many of you know it, how it works.
It becomes part of your consciousness It's no longer part of the mind.
Right.
You know, we look upon memory as a part of the mind, but actually then we function the way we do, which is we try to remember. But when something becomes part of your consciousness, it is always available to you.
Absolutely. Something you are. So you don't need really to remember because it
You
will
don't
come in the moment you need it.
exactly. When you need it, it comes. You don't even have to look for it.
Yes.
It just pops, it falls into your consciousness, and you suddenly say, oh, I now know that I have to do this.
Right. Absolutely. It's like always aha, aha, aha
Yes,
moment.
yes.
Uh-huh. Small ahas. Yeah.
Paula, yes.
In fact, there's a thinking that our imagination about memory, this computer memory thing, is actually all wrong. Because what many psychologists are now saying is memory is actually a reliving of our own experience. It's like re-experiencing. It is not exactly a storage in which we go and put things, but we simply relive that old experience, maybe in a diluted form or something. That's what they are saying nowadays. Our idea of memory being a storage space is all wrong.
Very interesting. Yeah, storage is wrong. This is a good idea, yes, that reliving. But how would you create the
We
reliving in the
No,
apprehensive?
it seems we actually pass through those same energy paths, whatever energy we had used earlier, maybe not so strongly, but in a lighter manner, we divert energy, mental energy through those same paths. And it is the paths that are important, not storage. So it's the movement of energy that is being that we are calling memory.
Amazing. Yeah. If that would could be created, it's like algorithm of energy rather, or imprint of energy, which it brings you to this to formulation of a particular event. You know. But they have to be unique movements of energy, or similar, or typal. I don't know. I'm just thinking, how would you manage this on the physical level, on the computer level? How to make that algorithmically? Yes, some kind of. It's a unique picture. It's like you have these bar lines. Yes, it's a unique picture, always cognized. That. Mm. So this is where Vaisheshika comes into play. Vaisheshika believes that every event, every energetic event in the world is a unique event and cannot be recreated. This is something amazing. So every element has its own signature, so to say. Every event has its own signature. So if we come to that, then infinity is justified, yes? Because everything is infinitely revealing itself. Infinity is within that nothing repeats itself. On the physical level, we see that there are no same fingerprints, there are no same leaves on the trees. And they are all unique. Everything is uniquely manifested. So why that uniqueness is needed? It's a good question. So how can you justify memory as a storage? So you will have to store everything. There's no end to the storage. So there is this play of apprehensive and comprehensive cognition, about the last thing I will say on this. So apprehensive is, there are people who think apprehensively more than comprehensively. They can manage things, plan things, organize things. They are not entering deeply into it. They're kind of sliding with the form. Form is enough for them to live. So formally, they fit forms together, and that is enough. And there are people who look for the meaning of the connection of form, and they are not so speedy. They are more diving deeper. They are staying more with the subject. They are less efficient, in the in, in the business environment because they are not quickly organizing the forms. I noticed this. It's my observation. So they always look for the deeper meaning, comprehensive people, and that takes time for them. But once they have it, widen the scope, it becomes part of their identity. They get an experience. They don't need to repeat it. They don't need to remember it. There are two different types of operational memory. Okay, I'm moving forward. Bhushannayo adhibabhrushu namnate vrisheva patnih abhieti roruvad ojayamanach tanuach chashumbhate bhimona shringa davidhava durgrebhich. He who, when he would become in the tawny tones, bends down and goes to them, bellowing as the male to its mates. Putting out his forces, he gives joy to their bodies. And like a fierce beast, hard to seize, he tosses his horns. Beautiful metaphor, yes. Tosses his horns. You can't catch him because he's moving his horns. So if you try it, then you will be hurt. There are two footnotes. He gives joy to their bodies. He makes blissful the forms of things. That is Sri Aurobindo's footnote. And Babhrushu, the cows, Arunayach, of a later verse, knowledge in the mortal mind. Interestingly, Babhrushu brownish, not totally red, not golden red, but mixed with lower kind of color, with darker colors. And that's why they're brownish. You know? So he, let us read my interpretation, who as if striving and ready to be, bends in the brownish ones, like the bull approaching his cows, roars to them again and again, forcing onto their extensions, onto their bodies, tanuach, onto their extensions in time and space, his strength, and thus giving them joy or making them blissful, shaking his horns. He is fierce and invincible, Bhimach, and Durgrebhich. Durgrebhich, difficult to hold. We have Durgrebhich only here in this verse used, and Ojayamana only in this verse, and these two words. Interestingly, word Bhushan, it's a Vedic word because we have Bhushayati later in causative sense, but Bhushan in this sense is some kind of archaic form of desiderative. That's why I kind of translated who is striving and ready to be, who wants to become. Sri Aurobindo translates who would become. Bhushan, the one who wants to be, as if the one who wants to be Yo Adhibabhrushunamnate, who bends himself in or enters roundish, of kind of embracing the brownish movements of consciousness, of our mental consciousness. Vrisheva, like Vrishan, like the Lord or the bull, Patni, his cows or his wives, as the Lord to his wives, Abhieti, he approaches, roaring. Oh, yeah. Ojayamanach tanuach Shumbhate, and imposing on them ojas, his own power, onto their bodies, he makes them happy. And like fierce one, Bhimach na, Shringani, his shringas, his horns, David Hava, shaking or tossing his horns, Durgrebhich, difficult to hold. Usually, Western scholars would translate it as the sexual act between the Vrishan and Patnis, his cows, because all the elements of the sexual metaphors are here. But Sri Aurobindo avoids this for some reason. And I think the sexuality itself is the metaphor, physical imprint or physical symbol of something which is happening on the spiritual level. So if you look at it from this point of view, then we have no problem. Of course, people, when they hear about sexuality, they have all kinds of problems immediately, and everything is blocked away. But if we don't, and take it lightly or symbolically, then it is really a great symbol. He's like the bull approaching the cows, roaring, yeah, and showing his force. Oh, Jayamana, showing his force. You know, have you seen how a bull approaches his cows? Ever? He becomes like double bigger. His chest becomes huge. He starts roaring. He starts beating with his hoof. It's a very powerful image. If you see it, you are scared. You want to run away from that thing. And he makes them happy, you know. Their bodies, their extensions. He Shumbhate. He gives the joy to them, Ashwin says, to their bodies. And he, like fierce bull with horns tossing, cannot be stopped.
This verse is like an extension of the first one that you just read. You know, where the flames, the swift steeds, and the powers of Agni.
Yeah.
You know how it is just like that. It is a further explanation, actually.
Could be.
Of the
Very
previous
nice.
verse.
Very nice. So two different metaphors. One is swiftnesses of
Yes.
horses. Now there is a bull
Yeah.
and his patnis
Yes.
cannot be stopped. And actually, yes, yeah, absolutely right. He is also described as the bull with 1,000 horns, you know. Can you imagine 1,000-horned bull? What kind of bull it could be? So he's tossing those horns. Nobody can stop them because they are penetrating, piercing the manifestation and all the forms. It's beautiful because certain things cannot be explained in our language. Yeah, metaphysically, you cannot explain these things. You have to feel them to see the image. You have to. It has to become a symbol for you in terms of emotions also, and that generates some kind of understanding, which is beyond concepts. And then he continues. So samstirach Vishtirach samgarbhayati Janan eva janatich nitya ashaye. It continues the same image. Punarvardhante apiyanti deviyam. Anyatvarpach pitaroch krinvate sacha. He, whether contracted in being or wide extended sizes of them utterly, on them utterly, he knowing, they knowing the eternal Agni enjoys them. Then again they increase, and go to the state divine, uniting, another form they make for the father and mother. Totally bewildering passage. He, whether contracted in being or wide extended sizes on them utterly. Oh, sorry, sizes, seizes on them utterly. I'm reading wrong today. So let us go through my interpretation first and then we come back again. He totally grabs them regardless of whether they are closed or open, realizing himself in them who realize him in themselves. He is constantly intimate, enjoying union with them. This is my interpretation. I'm translating literally. Sri Aurobindo does something else. He, whether contracted in being or wide extended, seizes on them utterly. Doesn't matter whether he is contracting or extending his being. Yeah? He's seizing them utterly. He knowing, they knowing, the eternal Agni enjoys them. Then again they increase and go to the static divine, uniting, another form they make for the father and the mother. So let us go through the text and see. Sa, he, samstirach, shrinking, vishtirach, extending. Samstir, vishtir, these are Vedic words. You see, only here use samstir. Contraction, expansion, what is near and what is far. So samstirach, vishtirach is plural, yes? So accusative case in this case. He, the shrinking, and the Sri Aurobindo translates this as nominative for saha. And I am following the dictionary, so that's the difference between our two translations. He identifies this as the adjective for Agni. I am thinking that this is the adjective for the cows, or his patnih. So sa samstirach vishtirach samgrbhayati. He totally seizes them, samgrbhayati, whether he is shrinking or he is extending. That is Sri Aurobindo's translation. And I am translating whether they are closed or open. Doesn't matter. Whether they shrink, become small, or they are extending, doesn't matter. He is totally seizing upon them. Some grabhayati. From root grib, to seize, to grasp. Janan, knowing Eva indeed. Janatich, them knowing. Nityach, constant. Ashaye, literally, he lays down with them. It's nearly like laying down in the sense of sexual. Realizing himself in them, who realize him in themselves. He is constantly intimate, enjoying union with them. Sorry. And thus they grow again and reach their divine status. In another form, they become the parents. So what do you gather from this? Do you have some thoughts?
Vladimir, can I share?
Yes, please.
Because when you say that he's shrinking, they are shrinking, whether they are shrinking, it could be that they are shrinking out of fear, or, this, I'm looking at it symbolically.
Okay,
That
good.
that there is the entity, and as Agni approaches, you can shrink with fear or you can expand and allow Agni to enter you in either way. So
Yes,
this is the shrinking in the fear or growing in expansion, allowing him to enter you and implant his seed in you so that you become the parent,
very nice. Very nice. I like it. Yeah, shrinking means kind of closing down. That's why I
Yes.
translated closed or open to him approaching. Yes, because they may be shrinking, they are not ready to receive him,
Yes.
for some reason, whatever the reason. Yeah,
Yes.
or they are ready to receive him. Whether they are ready or not, he will seize upon them totally.
Exactly.
He doesn't care about that.
So this could also be people who are conscious and unconscious,
Could be mostly, yeah.
who are,
Um,
not knowing that they have this potential in them. But when they are open to Agni, open to that force, then he ignites his force in them to, raise their consciousness to another level, and they can unite with the divine.
Very nice, yeah. If they are not open to him, then he will seize them in whatever form they are and burn them, because everybody is burning anyhow.
Yes.
So their unconscious will burn and they will just be perished. Yeah.
That's how the suffering happens, because we are not open. And so when Agni enters and we are not ready to receive, then there is some suffering, psychological, emotional, physical. But in any case, it is an exercise, a process for growth of consciousness, that is.
Interestingly, there is I already mentioned before, Agni Yoga by Rörik, yeah. And in his Agni Yoga, it's interesting, Agni Yoga, such a rare name. He says that we have to prepare ourselves to receive the manifestation of the sun. So we have to increase the intensity of our inner fire in order to join him, so to say, to open up to the supramental manifestation in a way. So, and if we are not, we see these beautiful passages in the hymns to Usha, where it is said, Usha, please kind of hasten your process of transformation, because when the sun comes, he may burn everything like thieves. So if Usha, the Divine Mother, will not complete her evolutionary work in the manifestation, then those forms who are not formed finally, they will be recognized by the sun as enemies, as the thieves, and will be burned like those who are closed, yes, burned. One way or another, they will be transformed. But whether there will be that consciousness joining the divine or not, it depends on the being closed or open to this action. And maybe that's why the second line says, knowing indeed them, knowing him, he constantly is joining with them in union. This is something interesting, because if they know him, realize him in themselves, they join this together with him constantly and fully aware of his presence. Beautiful.
And then they become parents for the divine child, for the birth of the psychic.
Right. This is, I'm not yet kind of totally aware what the parents are doing here. But okay, good. Some first idea.
Like when he implants the seed in the open consciousness, it is a acceptance, that the role of growing further, which would next be the parent. Parent of what? Parent of the divine child. Because Agni would be the father.
Oh yeah, he enjoys them totally. You see, the eternal Agni enjoys them. So
Yes.
he says, lies with them. And then again, they increase and go to the state divine. Yeah?
Right.
So they are becoming transformed, uniting with him.
And
Another
that's
form, interesting, they make for the father and mother.
parents.
Mm. Maybe that means that Agni within them is the father and they are the mother. This is another language, yeah, which we may use. Yes. Nice. Great. Lovely. Good ideas. If you have something to say before we close, so please, some ideas, some thoughts, reflections, questions. No? Robin is with us, looking very serious. Yeah, Robin. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. It is in the corner, left corner. Yeah.
There. My apologies for being not being here in the beginning. I would like very much to hear what you said about the sons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. I think
We
we
got a big echo going here.
yeah, because of Jayashri is next to you. But she muted, so it's fine now. You don't need to worry.
Okay, now that's hopefully that's better. Yeah, it's what I find fascinating about this is that this explains how creation works in the material world. And that can be difficult to understand. And so it's a revelation to see it explained so beautifully.
Yeah. If you look at the sun, I was thinking the other day, yesterday, that the sun is rising and the whole nature is responding. That energy input is absolutely crucial. If it would not be there, there would be no life. Yeah. That energy, those rays, they charge the greenery. Greenery is producing oxygen. Oxygen is producing everything else, you know. So everything is connected with the sun, and sun is casting all the time extra energies every day, casting, yeah, on Earth.
This morning I got up early and I had an idea in my head, and I wrote this down. This is not in a final finished version, but the rays of the sun kissed the waters and they rose into the heavens as life-giving rain. Offer your heart to the light within, and you'll rise like mist from a lake and become white like a cloud at home in the heavenly realms. That's some of it. And I was thinking that, well, I was talking with Jeshri's brother the other day about surrender. And from the physical mental standpoint, the word surrender is something that makes sense, but for a lot of people that's difficult to really accept. So I came this idea of the fact that when the sun shines on, say, a body of water, there's natural evaporation that happens and we rise. That's actually what is happening. We term it surrender from a mental standpoint, but it's not that. We're actually lifting ourselves, we're rising to the sun, and that's an ecstatic sense. So it's not surrender, we're just going to where we're just following bliss.
Right. We are reaching out to the source of all creation. Yes, we all want to come back to the center where we are coming from. Yes, absolutely. I was
And
thinking, yeah, about water, since you mentioned water. You see, I just checked because we have the ocean. And there was one movie, one science fiction movie, but the aliens came and what they wanted from us was water. It seems that water is very difficult to produce. It requires a lot of energy to produce water.
Mhm.
And it requires oxygen and it requires hydrogen. And where oxygen would come from if the plants are not there? Wait a minute, just how is that all connected? So who is first? Water, plants, water, they are both needed for each other. And then I checked with Google, you just Google it, the origin of water, and they don't know where water is coming from. Really don't know. The theory is that it came with some meteorites somewhere from the cosmos, fell here and it became water. Somebody brought water to Earth. Wow, look at this. We don't know anything about water. We don't know anything about the light. There is light, water, evaporation. Look how beautifully everything is arranged. The water comes to the sky, then falls on the plants, on us. We are all water. Water is connecting all of us in oneness of exchange of all the elements. Elements can be exchanged on the physical level only through some liquidity, through water. If the water is not there, there would be a static something. Yeah? Nobody would exchange with nobody. It's just another thought about the water. Just think about it, how miraculous. Most probably there was a divine intervention. And the divine created the world saying, let it be this, let it be that. The first day, second day, and that's it. Otherwise, how would you explain?
is it not just an idea? An idea in the mind of the divine, and because this is needed for life, it came into being. Because, and the reason why this makes, to me at least, makes good sense.
Oh, you are frozen. Makes good sense. And frozen. Yes, you were frozen, Robin. Please make good sense. Makes good sense. And what's good sense? Yeah, we didn't hear.
Oh, because the
Oh,
Again, frozen.
yeah.
I think we're not meant to find this pearl.
That good sense doesn't go through twice. Try the third time, and we will be
if it doesn't work,
disappointed.
if it doesn't work a third time, I won't say anymore.
You got two indications. Don't say it. Keep it for yourself. Good sense.
Yeah, and that is that the physical world actually doesn't exist in an absolute sense. So physical creation can become, it appears to become whatever is needed, but it doesn't have an absolute reality of its own. It's consciousness that causes reality to exist.
Very nice. I love this. That's why you were interrupted twice, that we should not know this kind of. I like this idea. The physical world exists as a result of some action of consciousness only. And if that stops, everything else stops. If
God wants
Purusha
it to be.
withdraws his attention from Prakriti, Prakriti falls into equilibrium. She does not manifest anything.
Correct. Exactly.
Thank you. Lovely. Okay, so let's close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavanto Sukhinaha Sarve Santo Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. Namaste.